In the gloom of Newark, where despair threaded through streets like creeping ivy, one woman stood as a sentinel in the shadow. Marilyn Hayes was no ordinary mother. She was a warrior fighting against a relentless tide only visible to her. It was a day etched in her mind. The morning the icy wind whispered through the city like a mournful requiem. Snow, biting and merciless, fell with the kind of ferocity that spoke of nature's indifference to human suffering. For Marilyn, each snowflake was an omen, descending upon the cars and chaos on Route 21. A stark contrast to the fragile beauty in Peter's eyes. Peter was her world, a luminescent child trapped in a silent battle against cerebral palsy. While words were foreign to him, his eyes spoke volumes, transcending confines of language. Her life was a mosaic of moments stolen between shifts at a motel tainted by secrets. Her toil a silent sacrifice ensuring Peter had therapy at St. Jerome's, a place haunted by whispered regrets. The air seemed to bite harder that fateful morning. Peter's lips carried the pale stain of chill, a shade that clawed at Marilyn's heart like an unyielding predator. Panic surged like an unrelenting storm as she rang for help. Silence answered her pleas, an interminable stretch of 7 minutes where time fractured. Her arms were cradles of desperation, embracing her son as his frail body convulsed. Then, a door creaked open, a doctor, a woman, whose gaze bore into Marilyn with accusing detachment. There was no kindness in her voice, just an eerie finality. Time of death: 8:42 a.m. The declaration splintered the air, forcible and cold. Marilyn's scream seemed to transcend the boundaries of the mortal world. A sound not just of sorrow, but pure fury. A banshee's wail aimed to shatter the very foundations of St. Jerome's sterile edifice. She clung to Peter, urging his return to her. But in the heart of that grim morning, her son, a dreamer silenced, had slipped away. Those 7 minutes, a universe collapsing in quiet devastation, had torn through her existence, leaving only whispers of what had been. A boy with laughing eyes, a mother's grief, and echoing silence as her soundtrack. They said I killed him. The autopsy said Peter had bruising on his neck. The attending doctor, the same one who ignored my screams, signed off on it. The prosecutor, Jane Burton, saw an opportunity. She wanted a state senate seat. She needed a case. I was it. My court-appointed lawyer, Barry Thompson, looked like he'd rather be fishing. He didn't request a second autopsy, didn't bring in specialists, didn't even call a character witness. The evidence was a neighbor who said she heard me shouting once. A page from my journal where I said I was exhausted. A doctored medical report. That was enough. I stood in court wearing a gray shirt 2 sizes too big, my hair pulled back, no makeup, no fight left in me. Did you harm your son? They asked. I loved my son, I said. I was just tired. The jury didn't care. Guilty. 30 years. Involuntary manslaughter. Edgewater Women's Correctional Facility smelled like bleach and steel. The day I arrived, they took everything from me, my clothes, my name, my voice. From that moment on, I was no longer Marilyn Hayes. I was inmate 24. Kristen Maddox ruled the women's wing like a tyrant. She didn't need a crown, just intimidation. She made me her personal servant, forced me to clean for her, humiliated me in front of others, and seemed to enjoy every second of it. Then came the night I was told to report for a security check. 2 guards, Reggie Stoll and Calvin Brooke, escorted me to a dark, empty room in the basement. No cameras, just silence and fear. They gave me a choice: stay quiet and walk out, or speak up and face consequences no one survives. I stayed quiet, but that night changed everything. Weeks later, I was called to clean the warden's office. Officer Rachel Roy left me alone with 2 inmates, Maya and Sherry. What began as cleaning duty turned into a setup. They cornered me, restrained me, and degraded me. When I tried to leave, Rachel returned, and stood by complicit. I tried to speak up. I filed a report. The prison's mental health counselor dismissed me. But it was real, and I was still inmate 24, trapped inside a system that refused to listen. 8 years had gone by. I barely spoke anymore. Each word felt like a heavy stone ready to submerge me further into despair. I barely blinked. It was as if my eyes had forgotten the art of seeing. Hope was a dead language spoken by nobody in the echoing halls of my mind. Then she came. Emily Sands, 25 years old. A rookie journalist with the kind of fire in her eyes that promised she wouldn't take no for an answer. She was looking into prison abuse. Whispers had reached her ears about the woman with dead eyes and a dead son. She came to see me. Marilyn Hayes? I looked up. That was the first time I had heard my name spoken in years, with a tone that promised revelation, not accusation. Emily dug deep, deeper than anyone had thought to before. She unearthed the ambulance report. It was a document buried under lies. No neck bruising, no physical trauma. It painted a picture contrary to the narrative that had been forced upon me and my lifeless child. She found Nurse Jane Reeves, a hidden ally who confessed that the doctor had made her lie about the condition of my son. It was a confession that unlocked a world of darkness. Then she did something bold, almost reckless. She acquired a hidden recording of the hospital administrator's voice, a whisper that would turn into a roar when made public. He said, "If this gets out, we're screwed. Just bury the file. Blame the mom." Emily wrote her first article. Who killed Peter Hayes? An arrow shot into the darkness, aiming to pierce through the lies. She got fired the next day. But she wasn't done. Far from it. In the quiet, calculated fury of her heart, untouched by the disillusionment that she should have felt, Emily took the battle underground. She turned her pen into a sword, and her words into warriors. And in that same unyielding silence where I had been trapped for so long, I felt something shift, like the breaking of dawn after a long, endless night. Emily was not just a reporter. She was the hope I thought silenced forever. Emily's blog, number 24, began as a quiet corner of the internet, a digital refuge where she poured out her story day after day. The numbers ticked upwards, 24, 48, 72, as her words started shaping a narrative larger than herself. It was her chronicle of injustice, a meticulous ledger of events that led to an imprisonment that was never supposed to happen. But number 24 was more than a recounting of Emily's plight. It was an act of rebellion. Within each post, Emily unearthed findings that coalesced into undeniable evidence. An overlooked recording materialized, detailing exchanges that cast doubt. Ambulance records surfaced, signaling discrepancies in timelines. A nurse, moved by Emily's relentless quest for justice, stepped forward, her testimony shedding new light on the truth. The blog's audience grew. It wasn't long before it surpassed its humble beginnings, evolving from a personal diary to a rallying cry that resonated across social media. The momentum was undeniable, culminating in a powerful fundraiser that captivated the hearts of empathetic strangers. This was when Harold Mackenzie, renowned civil rights attorney, crossed paths with Emily. His reputation for uprooting systemic failures matched Emily's fervor perfectly. Together, they mapped a new path to justice, filing for appeal, their collaborative fight fueled by the strength of their newfound alliance. The court day loomed on the horizon, a date etched in the collective hope of the blog's followers and believers in justice everywhere. June 14, 2004, dawned heavy with anticipation. All eyes were on the judge as he delivered the verdict, the words echoing like a chorus of liberation. The court finds the original conviction unsound. Charges vacated. Mrs. Hayes, you are free to go. Just like that, the chains of injustice crumbled. Emily stood outside the courthouse, a free woman. The sun was a little brighter, her heart a little lighter. The electronic world she'd built. Number 24. Freedom tasted like the fresh air she hadn't breathed in far too long, tinged with the digital fingerprints of countless supporters who believed, who read, who shared. And amidst the whispers of a new beginning, the echoes of number 24 lived on, whispering to all who dared to dream for justice. The snow-covered cemetery was cloaked in a melancholy silence as Mary knelt by her son's grave. Peter's name was etched into the cold granite, a stark reminder of the life lost too soon. The gentle snowflakes kissed the ground, like nature's quiet tears. Mary's heart was a blizzard of emotions swirling within, much like her breath in the frigid air. Freedom, she mused bitterly, her fingers brushing against the icy stone. What does freedom mean when your child is buried under frozen soil? Her voice was a mere whisper, a plea carried to the heavens with no promise of an answer. Once a long time ago, life was different. Emily's book, number 24, had taken the world by storm, climbing to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. It painted a picture of trials and triumphs, while the accompanying documentary secured an Emmy, broadcasting Emily's truth to the masses. And Mary? She slipped away from the spotlight, from the life that had once seemed so promising. She left behind the chaos of the bustling city, and sought solace in a tranquil town nestled in the heart of Maine. Here, her mornings began with cleaning the old church, each stroke of her cloth against wooden pews a silent prayer, a moment of connection to something beyond herself. Afternoons found her by the sea, the vast blue offering her refuge, a companion to her psalms. She often whispered the ancient words to the crashing waves, their rhythm a balm to her soul. The townsfolk gave her space, their questions unasked, her answers unspoken. Yet there was a weight she carried, an unseen burden that clung to her every step. In the stillness, when the wind held its breath, and the world seemed to pause, Mary would lean closer to the salty breeze and confess, "I'm not a monster. I was a mother, and all I ever tried to do was save my son." The words were tender and fraught with the remnants of love and loss. In those solitary moments by the grave, Mary's whispers danced with the elements, seeking absolution, or perhaps understanding. The end was merely a beginning, a quiet testament to a mother's love eternal.